What is going on, New York Giant fans? Welcome back to another video on the Big Blue in the Bronx YouTube channel. Be sure to hit that like button, comment, and subscribe. Turn on post notifications so you know when a live stream pops or a video drops. Appreciate y'all coming back. Also, share this out. And definitely, as mentioned, hit that subscribe button. We're trying to build this channel up to 1K subscribers. Appreciate everybody who stops by. There is a huge chunk, about 59% of you who are viewing the videos that have not subscribed, so please subscribe. We are a great channel over here. We do a lot of different things, and we interact with our fans, and it's a great time over here. We all have fun. So back to business. In this video, I'm going to break down 6 things the New York Giants need to do this offseason. I was going to go with 5, but I'm like, you know what? It's more likely that it has to be 6 in this scenario. Let's get right into it. So number 1 is choose a direction at quarterback and re-sign Daniel Jones. Now, I know a lot of people may have misinterpreted me. I know Hayes, one of our viewers, was joking. But some people may have misinterpreted me when I was talking about options for Daniel Jones. Options really at quarterback in case Daniel Jones doesn't re-sign or a deal doesn't get done. I'm not fully endorsing those ideas. I hope you guys know that. I'm not fully endorsing them. Now, obviously, if they went out and signed Derek Carr, would I be a fan of it? No, but I would say, okay, listen, I trust this regime. Let's go win some games. Let's go be successful. I want them to win. I want this team to be successful. But overall, number 1 is choose a direction at QB, re-sign Daniel Jones, whatever that is, in terms of the decision. Because number 1 does impact number 2. Number 2 impacts number 1. We'll get to number 2 in a second. But a direction at QB is also a direction for the franchise. Are you a few years away? Are you right there, right? Just a couple of pieces in the draft and free agency and a couple of coaching things. That stuff need to be worked out. Or, listen, there's really 2 scenarios there. Either you're a few years away or you're 1 year away from winning, or at least you feel you can make a championship run or at least a contenderish run next year in 2023. So that's where the Giants need to decide where they are, and they need to decide, does Daniel Jones, in their opinion, have a ceiling to his production? Can he do more with better weapons around him, more with a better scheme around him, something along those lines? So number 1, choose a direction at quarterback. If that means including resigning Daniel Jones, sure. If it doesn't, then make your decision and, have a backup plan, A, B, C, D, because, the NFL works quickly. Number 2 is re-sign Saquon Barkley. In my opinion, it should be nothing over market value because Saquon, he's a great running back when he's healthy. When he's not healthy, he's on the bench and he doesn't help us. He said at the beginning of the offseason that, he was not really wanting to reset the market for running backs, but now wants $16 million a year. So lip service is going to happen with some of these guys, Daniel Jones, Joe Shane, Brian Dable, and Saquon Barkley, in terms of, being re-signed, in terms of saying who's going to be re-signed and all these different things. So just keep an eye out for reports. Keep an eye out for smoke screens as well. But re-signing Saquon Barkley, is it as impactful as the Daniel Jones decision? I don't think so, but it's probably 1A, 1B, because Saquon Barkley, he is the only legitimate weapon coming back if you do re-sign him. If Daniel Jones is gone or Daniel Jones stays, Saquon Barkley is the only legitimate weapon. Like Isaiah Hodgins is nice. He's a wide receiver 2, 3, maybe even 4. Richie James, he was on a 1-year contract. Darius Slayton is a free agent. There's a couple of the guys that are free agents. Daniel Bellinger, he's great, but, you could always use another tight end. So are you going to reset the offense and some of the offensive line and put Saquon Barkley out in free agency, maybe get another running back in free agency, which I really am not a fan of? Are you going to draft a running back, or are you going to re-sign Saquon? So that's another decision the New York Giants need to make, either re-sign him or just generally making a decision on Saquon Barkley. Number 3, restructuring Leonard Williams and extending Adoree Jackson. Leonard Williams, I believe, his cap number is around $32 million, or at least something in the 22 range. Let's take a look at his spot track page. They're always good with that type of stuff. So Leonard Williams for 2023, his cap hit is $32 million. If you're asking, in the case of can the Giants cut him, not really. I mean, if you release him post June 1st, it's not that big of a difference between dead cap and cap savings. So, for instance, pre-6-1 release, Giants would have to incur $20 million in dead cap, $12 million in cap savings, and then if they did the post-June 1st release, it would be $14 million dead cap for 23, cap savings of 18, but push $5 million into the next year would be 24. So you're only kicking the can down the road, and I have no idea how much cap space the Giants are expected to have in 24. But at the end of the day, I think Leonard Williams is important to this defense. But if you asked me if I think Leonard Williams is worth $32 million in a cap hit, I would say absolutely not, because he doesn't get on the stat sheet a lot, and I understand, we make excuses for some guys, and some other guys, it's legitimately true. Like, they make plays for other teammates to make plays. The Justin Ellis sack against Washington the first time, that was much of Leonard Williams is doing. Leonard Williams also had his first year where it was riddled with injuries, right? A neck injury. There was a couple other injuries he sustained. And I think you only had like 2.5 sacks. So if you're earning $32 million as a defensive lineman, I think you need to put up more stats. In my honest opinion, I think that's how it should go overall. Now, the way you could restructure him, ideally, now I'm not really good with restructural numbers, but basically kind of kick the can down the road. Maybe you could have a void year down the line, but smooth out the money for the next few years so that, Leonard Williams is getting paid and he's happy about it. But at the same time, you have space to operate as a general manager, as an organization. And then you could go sign a quarterback, a running back, an offensive lineman, a wide receiver, whatever you need in free agency, and also, assessing the draft picks and signing them to contracts as well. So restructuring Leonard Williams, I think extending Adoree Jackson to an extent. I don't know if you necessarily can extend him because he is in the final year of his contract. I know there is a void because of the restructuring that happened last year, but he makes $19 million in a cap hit. The base salary is $11 million, which isn't bad, but all the the bonuses and all these different things makes up $19 million as a cap hit, and the Giants really can't afford to have that. So if you can extend that money down the line, kind of like you do with Leonard Williams, and Adoree Jackson is more productive, in my opinion, in his role than Leonard Williams is in his role. I think he's more worth the 19, not saying that, he's definitely the best corner in the league, but he played really well when on the field at the corner one position. Leonard Williams, obviously, he was solid, but nowhere near his mark of $32 million, against the cap. So extend Adoree Jackson if you can. He's a good guy to keep on the roster. And then Leonard Williams, extend him, restructure him, something like that, create more cap space for yourself. And not just for this year, in the future as well. Because we know the Giants' envisionment is not just about 23, it's just about 24, 25, 26, if it gets there. Number four, we just went over number 3, sign a Mike linebacker. Now, a lot of people have been disagreeing with me. A lot of people have been agreeing with me. One of our loyal supporters I was talking to was, basically saying to me, Alex, Jack Campbell's in the draft. DeMarvion Overshone is in the draft. Owen Papo out of Auburn. There's another name he gave me, Noah Sewell out of Oregon. And obviously in a couple of different videos we'll reveal our thoughts on the prospects. Maybe Donald makes a video as well because I'm open to different guys on this channel making videos and whatnot. But I think the Giants need an immediate impact at the Mike position. Now, you could sit here and say, okay, let's sign a Mike linebacker for 4 years or 3 years and then get out in that third year. Kind of like you do with the Glowinski contract, what the Adoree Jackson contract I think was made to be. No, it was actually made to be front-loaded. Back-loaded, but front-loaded in terms of, not much money for 2021. But that's a whole different story. So Glowinski, get out in the third year. There's a couple other contracts like that. So you can maybe do that for a Mike linebacker and then draft a Mike within the next 2 years in the draft, and then they develop, and then the guy leaves, and boom, you have a Mike linebacker. So my personal favorite, and I know I said I would get into this in a different video, my personal favorite is Jack Campbell. I like the way he tackles the running backs. He's solid in zone coverage. He knows how to get off blocks. I think he's the closest you'll get to a Mike linebacker in this draft, second and third round value in my personal opinion. I do think the Giants should take him. But obviously, if you do sign a Mike linebacker in free agency, there's less of a need to go after a guy like Jack Campbell or Noah Sewell. But we'll see where they go in terms of that in the draft. But two specific names I have on paper for the New York Giants, and both of these teams that these guys were at, for 2023, they're going to be cap-stricken. So that means they will be either under the cap or they will have this much money to spend. So Tremaine Edmunds is one, and a lot of people have been saying, "Oh, Edmunds is boomer bust," and this and the other thing. I contacted a guy, I believe his name is Dan Mitchell, for the Bills, and he said he's a tackling monster, he is a run-stuffing monster, and that's what the Giants need. They need somebody in their prime, and the reason I've been associating him with the Giants in terms of Edmunds is because he's a Buffalo Bill who came from the Buffalo Bills, Joe Schoen and Brian Dable. So he'd be the perfect fit for this defense. We need a Mike linebacker. We need it now. And, it's also about direction in a way, because if you re-sign Daniel Jones, if you re-sign Saquon Barkley, and then maybe manage to get a Tremaine Edmunds or another Mike linebacker in here, that means, okay, you want some vast improvements on the defense, and you want it immediately. Now, if you don't re-sign Daniel Jones, if you go out and draft a quarterback, you kind of want to do everything at once, in a sense. If you don't re-sign Saquon Barkley, you get a running back. I mean, that's more of a win-now type of thing. A lot of different running backs are drafted, then put in right away. I mean, Isaiah Pacheco is one. He was in the 7th round out of Rutgers, and the Chiefs picked him off. Kenneth Gainwell, I think he came out of either Kansas or Memphis. He's been doing really well for the Philadelphia Eagles. So, there's not necessarily, it's more on the Daniel Jones thing about win now or a few years away rather than Saquon Barkley. But in the sense, coming back to linebacker, you could either, in terms of direction, once again, Tremaine Edmunds, okay, we want to win now, make a vast improvement to our defense, and then maybe draft a linebacker in the next 2 years. Sorry, my nose itches a little bit. Make an improvement in the next 2 years, draft a linebacker, and then when he's gone, the other linebacker will take over as the Mike. Or you draft a Mike, you develop him, you go through the rookie struggles and all that sort of stuff. So the other guy I have on the list is TJ Edwards. He has yet to get an extension. Now, Raquan Smith was also an option, got re-signed by the Ravens. But TJ Edwards is also an option. I think, the Eagles' run defense has been middle of the pack, but I think TJ Edwards is an outstanding linebacker. Now, is he probably going to get as much money as Edmunds? Is he as good as Edmunds? No. I think Edmunds is actually the top option on the market compared to a guy like Deion Jones, who came from Cleveland and Atlanta. Levante David, I mean, he's starting to slow down at age 33. Devin Bush, not great. Anthony Walker, average, solid linebacker. So, in my opinion, the top options are Edmunds and TJ Edwards. You could go for a Bobby Okereke, but he played solid for 1 year from what I heard, and that was this year, contract year. So sign a Mike linebacker at number 4. Number 5, draft wide receivers, put more assets around the quarterback in terms of offensive line and wide receivers. There's not a Jamar Chase in this draft. There's not a Marvin Harrison in this draft, but there are guys you can build around the quarterback with. Jordan Addison I happen to like. Zay Flowers is another one. There's a couple other wide receivers, and it's not just in round 1. You get in a 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've seen, Antonio Brown, I think, was a 6th-round pick. Devontae Adams was a 4th-round pick. All these different sort of guys. So it's not just the first round that matters. And you know what? Knowing that there's not a top wide receiver like a Jamar Chase in this draft lets you take another position in the first round, whether you want to go corner, Joey Porter Jr., or a guard with Osiris Torrance out of Florida. So there's a couple of ways you can maneuver around it. But I would say, vision, for me, not the Giants front office, I don't know how they think, but you could draft a wide receiver or 2 this year, hopefully groom, let's just say Jordan Addison, okay, he's the number one option for right now, but everybody gets the ball equally. Then, if you know whether you have Daniel Jones or Anthony Richardson or a quarterback on the market, whoever you have, then you take the next step, and if you say you're a contender, if you say you're ready for that next step, okay, we're going to start competing now, then you go out and trade for a wide receiver. I know a lot of people say, oh, we got to trade for T. Higgins. I'm not necessarily a fan of trading for a wide receiver unless you can convince me on Brandon Ayuk, because I think he would fit this offense really well. But in my opinion, and I know it's kind of like a Knicks thing, you don't want to wait to trade for a star wide receiver stud. But it's kind of like the Eagles did it. It's kind of like the Buffalo Bills did it. So just some options, but draft some wide receivers, and then maybe the next year you get a stud wide receiver on his rookie contract, and then you bring him over to the Giants, and boom, the Giants are contenders. Number 6 is cut Kenny Golladay. That would have to be post-June 1st. Now, the Giants can be polite to Kenny Golladay and say, listen, we're going to release you in March. That way, you have some options in free agency, and there's going to be more of a market for you in terms of teams. But they could also say, look, it's financially better for us to cut you after June 1st. Now, if you were to cut Kenny Golladay post June 1st, it's kind of like you're kicking some of the can down the road, right? Dead cap in 23 would be $7 million. 2023 cap savings would be $13 million, and I have a strategy for this. And then 24 would be $6.8 million in dead cap. Now, if you were to release him, if you were to release Kenny Golladay before the June 1st mark, let's just say in March or June, or actually, no, not June. That didn't make sense. April or May. If you were to release him before the June mark, you would have $6 million in cap savings and $14 million in dead cap. Not good for the Giants franchise. Now, obviously, I don't know how the front office is going to do it. I don't work in a front office, so this is just me rambling on. What you could do is you go out in free agency, you re-sign Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, get Tremaine Edmonds, get a punter. How about that? Honorable mention, we get a punter. I'd rather sign one, maybe like a Sam Martin type. Thomas Morstead's decent, but he's older. I don't want to go through a Matt Dodge again. I don't. And some of them punters at the Senior Bowl didn't really look good. Adam Korsak had a nice punt inside the 5-yard line, but then he shanked another. So my envisionment with Kenny Golladay is you sign Jones, you sign Edmonds, you sign whatever you need to in free agency, and you go over the cap a little bit, right? Let's just say you have negative $5 million in over the cap, right? You're over the cap $5 million, right? So you could draft your class, cut Kenny Golladay after June 1st, then do your contracts, because you got negative 5, and then you put 13 that's 8. Start doing your contracts, or, whatever is best for the New York Giants, but you could still kind of have that strategy, whether you want to go over 5, over 3, over 2, whatever, then mix in Galladay's cap savings, and then sign your draft class, and then boom, you could sign some undrafted free agents, some depth guys, some fill out the roster guys. That's pretty much that. So number 1, choose a direction with Daniel Jones at quarterback. Number 2, re-sign Saquon Barkley, or really decide on Saquon Barkley, restructure in Leonard Williams, extend Adoree Jackson is 3. Number 4 is sign a Mike linebacker. Number 5 is draft wide receivers, put assets around the quarterback, and also offensive linemen, but wide receivers is probably more what the Giants are focusing on a little bit. And then number 6, cut Kenny Golladay post June 1st. Like, comment, subscribe to all the good stuff. Turn on post notifications so you know when a live stream pops for your drops. Appreciate you coming back. Hope you guys enjoy the Super Bowl. I will be rooting for the Kansas City Chiefs and having a good time. Generally, overall, stuff in my face. We'll be back on Monday with Boys in the Big Apple recapping the Super Bowl. We'll also be talking some baseball as that's coming up, NBA, all that good stuff. Appreciate you guys supporting. Let's build this to 1K, and we'll see you later. Peace.